Hello and welcome to Behind the Headlines, a podcast where we delve into some of the biggest news stories of our time. Today, we're talking about one of the biggest heists in banking history, the Bangladesh bank robbery. In February 2016, the Central Bank of Bangladesh, the Bangladesh Bank, suffered a massive cyber attack that saw hackers steal $81 million from its account at the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. This was no ordinary robbery, and the consequences of this crime are still being felt today. To understand what happened, let's take a step back and look at how the Bangladesh Bank operates. As the Central Bank of Bangladesh, the Bangladesh Bank is responsible for managing the country's monetary policy, issuing currency, and supervising the banking sector. It also maintains accounts with other central banks, including the Federal Reserve Bank of New York, which is where the $81 million was stolen from. On the morning of February 4, 2016, a series of fraudulent SWIFT messages were sent from the Bangladesh Bank's account at the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. The messages instructed the Federal Reserve Bank to transfer a total of $81 million to several bank accounts in the Philippines. The transfers were approved, and the money was quickly moved out of the Bangladesh Bank's account. At first, the Bangladesh Bank didn't realize what had happened. It wasn't until later that day that they noticed the missing funds and raised the alarm. They immediately contacted the Federal Reserve Bank of New York, but it was too late, the money was already gone. The Bangladesh Bank was shocked by what had happened and quickly launched an investigation. They discovered that the fraudulent SWIFT messages had been sent from a computer inside the Bangladesh Bank's headquarters, but the hackers had used a sophisticated technique to cover their tracks and make it look like the transfers were being made from the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. The Bangladesh Bank was not the only victim of the hackers. It soon became clear that the cyber attack was part of a larger operation that had targeted several other banks around the world. The hackers had used the same technique to steal money from accounts in Ecuador and Vietnam, and it is believed that they may have attempted to steal from other banks as well. The Bangladesh Bank heist was a wake-up call for the international banking community. The fact that the hackers had been able to steal such a large sum of money from a central bank was unprecedented, and it raised serious concerns about the security of the international banking system. The incident also highlighted the vulnerability of SWIFT, the global financial messaging network used by thousands of banks around the world. The investigation into the Bangladesh Bank heist was a complex and challenging one, but it eventually led to the arrest and indictment of several individuals in connection with the crime. A significant portion of the stolen funds was also recovered. In the aftermath of the Bangladesh Bank heist, the banking industry has made significant changes to improve security and prevent similar incidents from happening again. One of the biggest changes has been the increased use of two-factor authentication for transactions, which makes it more difficult for hackers to access bank accounts. Banks have also improved their monitoring systems, making it easier to detect fraudulent transactions and respond quickly when they occur. Another important change has been the increased focus on cybersecurity in the banking industry. Banks have invested heavily in security systems, hired more cybersecurity experts, and are working closely with law enforcement agencies to track down and prosecute hackers. The Bangladesh Bank heist has also led to increased collaboration between banks and international organizations such as SWIFT, which are working together to improve security and prevent future attacks. Despite these efforts, the threat of cybercrime continues to evolve, and banks must remain vigilant. The Bangladesh Bank heist was a warning that no bank is immune from attack, and that the consequences of a successful cyber attack can be devastating. Banks must continue to invest in security and work together to stay one step ahead of the hackers. In conclusion, the Bangladesh Bank heist was a major event that had far-reaching consequences for the banking industry. It served as a wake-up call for the need for increased security in the digital age, and the response from the industry has been significant. However, the threat of cybercrime remains, and banks must continue to evolve and adapt to stay ahead of the hackers. That's it for today's episode of Behind the Headlines. If you enjoyed this episode, please be sure to like and subscribe for more in-depth coverage of the biggest news stories of our time. Thank you for listening.